Game Face. I'm Dr. Kim Lannon. I'm here with Lou Blasi. I'm going to be nice and calm today. I'm just going to introduce you as Lou Blasi because I'm Dr. Kim Lannon, your daily Game Face. Yeah. I'm here to make everybody healthier, happier, and healthier.
It's not how you came in.
It is how I came in. You are so
You weren't
sensitive.
even in a room before you started.
I came in the room and said, you're in trouble.
No. You said I was in trouble coming up the stairs.
Oh, you could hear me coming up the stairs?
Yes.
That's pretty good hearing. Well, I have to tell the listeners that you actually had the door shut out of the studio today on me. And then when I opened it, you said, oh, I didn't lock it soon enough.
I heard you coming and I was in trouble. So I was trying to scramble for the door lock.
Well, I realized that you have shell shock from some kind of repeated habitual trauma of being...
Oh, yeah. Chronic trauma.
Being sensitized to people saying that you're in trouble.
Yep.
So
I used to say it's my fault. It was part of my job description.
Yes. Well, yeah. I did say that's all your fault.
Yep.
Yes. I have someone in my life that I haven't seen in a long time, but it was kind of a running joke between some of us and our family members that it was like, to me, it was always like, it's all your fault. I hope you're happy. So, yes. So that's kind of a long-standing thing.
Yep.
It's all your fault. Hope you're happy.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so here we are. And I sound like this today. Can you hear it?
Yes.
It sounds weird. It sounds very weird in my ears. So I could say that it's your fault that I have a cold. I do not have COVID. So that for all the listeners like, oh gosh, she has COVID. No. Yep. First of all, I've tested myself up the wazoo to make sure I don't have COVID. But I'm actually going to blame this on John. I hope you're listening, John.
Wait a second.
So we put up the Christmas tree. And
yeah.
I have really bad allergies, as you know.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a funny story because we put up the Christmas tree and John on whatever, Sunday, Monday, put the branches, and I'm allergic to pine, just so you know.
Okay.
So you put the branches.
You're allergic to pine?
Yeah, I'm allergic to everything.
All the hiking you do and you're allergic to pine?
Well, I'm not hugging the trees when I'm hiking.
I understand.
So it's okay.
Yeah.
But when you cut them and like if I touch a pine tree and like get like little prickers on them, from the pine needles, I can get Hy-Vee and break out.
Really?
Anyway,
yeah.
Too much information. So
who's allergic to pine?
What?
Who's allergic to pine?
Me. God. So I'm also allergic to oak. I'm allergic to maple. So anyway, so he put the pine needles. Poor John. I'm going to throw him under the bus on this one.
You're a Darwin
because it started
fugitive.
on the day he did this. So he put the pine needles in the oven. Because it makes that. Oh my God, you've never done this before?
No.
So you put them in the oven in a pan with water, and you heat it up to like 250, 275, and you let it run for a few hours. The whole house smells like Christmas tree. It's amazing. But this,
he doesn't know you're allergic to pine.
I've got going on is the result of this. What?
He doesn't know you're allergic to pine?
Well, yes, but we weren't thinking it was going to have this because usually it's kind of like, okay, I get a little raspy and I usually bypass it.
Yeah.
No. So yesterday, so this is the residual of 2 days later. So yesterday, I started in the morning feeling like really bad. Hi, Cam, and Cameron's at school listening.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Supposed to be listening to his teachers, but hi, Cameron.
That's all right.
So yesterday I went to the office and the house was still residual, obviously, from the pine. And as the day progressed, I was draining and I didn't have anything. So now I've got all this stuff in front of me. See, I'm going to blow my nose during. And so I had a new client yesterday. Get this?
Yeah.
So this new client comes to me, but thank God, she's a referral from another client. So she's already been preloaded like that, from this other person that knows me really well. Thank God. So I'm trying desperately at like 5:00 afternoon to keep it all together because I'm draining and I can't breathe. And of course, every single person is like, do you have COVID? Do you have COVID? Do you have COVID? And I'm like, no. And if you'd seen me yesterday, you would have thought I had COVID. So I opened the door and I'm like, hey, I'm bubbly and nice to meet you. And I'm like, I'm probably not going to be able to talk very much. And I am definitely not even talking this fast yesterday.
Yep.
And I said, I'm probably not going to be able to talk very much today because I have this little allergy thing going on. And right before she got there, I was sneezing. I just couldn't stop. I just could not.
Yep.
And so this poor woman, I feel very bad for her. She talked the whole time. Thank God. But I think I got 10 words in because my throat was so sore because I was draining and didn't have anything to fix that at that time.
Yep.
And that's really too much information. But nonetheless, I'm at the end of the residual of the no more pine in the house. So the tree's up and that's fine. But the burning of the pine needle in the oven did this.
Right, so you obviously have some allergy issues.
You think?
I have this at home too.
I'm allergic
but you
to
have how many cats?
I have 5.
I'm going to say, how many cats do you have?
5. You know where they sleep?
In your bed.
On my face.
On your... Yeah, I get the same situation. It's like everyone's complaining about allergies. It's like, you got 2 cats.
5.
Yeah, you've got 5.
Yeah, but I'm used to the cats like doing that. So I've built up I'm not used to the pine tree being in my oven.
So the cats don't bother you anymore?
Depends. It depends on if I rub them right after they've washed because of their dander and stick my hands in my face.
Yeah. That's all I get is I'm having allergy issues and the house is dusty. 2 cats. You can solve that problem.
What?
You can solve that problem. Shave the cats.
I have a shaved cat.
You do?
Yes. I shave the lion cut on Sophie because she's allergic to herself. Remember? She has rhinitis. And she always sounds like... Now my listeners will be like, wow, we've gone right off the rails today. But she does all night long. She's like...
It's because she's allergic to herself.
She has rhinitis, but she is allergic to herself. So we have to cut. She's very long-haired and Russian blue cat. And so we have to shave her and trim her because she's hairy.
Yeah. You are a Darwin refugee.
I'm what?
You're a Darwin refugee.
Oh,
you're allergic to trees.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm allergic to lots of things.
You're not meant to survive.
I don't know. I'm tough.
Yeah.
I'm very tough. So anyway, it was a funny story. So I had to figure out how I was going to not die this morning, but I'm fine. I figured this would pass. And
you've cleared up. You sound good.
Okay, and I'm also blocked in my hearing. What? I
said you cleared up. At least your voice is cleared up, and you sound good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yesterday was bad.
Yeah.
That's why everyone was like, "You have COVID?" You know, I said to someone this morning already. I said I had to answer that question probably 100 times yesterday. I'm like, no, I don't have COVID.
No, the week before for me was brutal. You're doing this job with a cold.
For you, yeah.
Yeah, and plus you can't get a cold these days because it's the same thing.
Because
you got COVID. Have you got COVID? It's like, no, I don't have COVID.
And I know tons of people in the past 2 weeks that have had head colds. You, and then the person that just wrote in. I know he had a head cold.
Yep.
And lots of people have had head colds and got tested and passed because everyone thinks, oh God. So, and then I had a friend who I wasn't in contact with got COVID again. She's gotten twice.
That was my first test of the whole COVID experience.
You just now? Recently?
Yeah, when I got that cold.
Oh, wow.
The first time I got tested.
That's the first time you tested?
Yeah.
I thought you tested to go to your son's graduation.
No, I had to get vaccinated
for
my son's graduation.
All right. Yep. Well, good thing you're vaccinated.
But I haven't got the booster shot, which I'm being shamed for, too.
You do what you want to do.
No,
want to talk science?
No, I'll probably get it.
I think you should do whatever you need to do for yourself. What feels right for you. I'm still going to give you science, though, but not today.
No, I don't care about the science. I just want to live in this society. So I don't want to be able to come and go as much as possible.
You don't want to be shamed? Is that what you're telling me?
I don't want to be shamed. I don't want to be hassled. I don't want to be.
Did you just swear? Up. Did you just swear on my show?
Hassled.
Oh, I thought you. You know what I thought you said, right?
I know what you thought I said.
Oh my God, that was so funny. 7-second delay. No.
No.
Darn. That was pretty funny. See, my ears are blocked.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm not really sorry.
And I didn't get any reaction to the first shot, so the first 2 shots. So I'll probably go in and get a booster.
I had a client have their booster yesterday, and they didn't have any reaction to the first 2, but they had a reaction to the booster.
Oh, great.
They threw up.
Oh.
Yeah.
They threw up for the booster?
Yep.
Was it a Pfizer?
Yep.
Oh, God.
Yeah, but I got Pfizer and I was fine.
Yeah.
I never had any issue. I went smooth sailing. John's like, that's because I'm a tough nut. Like, I'm prepared. I'm like, I'm going to get a day off. No, it didn't happen. No days off for me. So you know what? How's your water intake going?
My water intake is going good.
Yay!
Yesterday was not a good day, but I did very well other than that. And I'm getting used to it. I'm ramping up.
See?
Yeah.
It's not that hard, right?
I mean, I spent a lot of time in the bathroom for a while. But,
just for the first couple of days, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Right. That's all it takes to adjust. So for people that aren't knowing what we're talking about, I started last week's month of December talking about micro goals, getting yourself ready to start something new, not waiting till the first of the year to do it, so that you're starting small. and you're doing something as a goal once a month,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to do monthly goal or weekly goal. In your case, we're starting off with water, increasing your water intake.
Yeah, relatively easy with some benefits.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you've added in half your body weight in water, or at least tried.
Yep.
On a daily.
Oh, no, I've been good.
You're being successful.
Yep.
You visit the bathroom a lot.
Yeah, less and less now, but
that's good.
Yeah.
And so how does it feel? Like, what has changed, or what does it feel like?
I'm using it. It's working well to control my hunger, especially the late night stuff. The
binging time.
Yeah, and I'm a grazer.
The dark time.
I've done a lot of grazings, for a number of years. So it gets tough after supper when it's like that 4 or 5 hours before you go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
Trying not to hit on something, but the water's helped with that. Just a little tough because I picked it up in the winter, and now it makes me cold. But
well, you can warm your water and put lemon in it as if it was tea, but not put tea in it.
I put a little flavoring in it.
What are you putting in it?
Yeah, one of those. Is it miso?
Oh, the Mios.
Mios.
The Mios.
Yeah, with the.
I don't know if you can warm. That would taste
with the vitamin.
Warm.
The vitamin one.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. So,
and I think I asked you this before because I have a very ridiculously expensive water filter in my house.
Yes.
Alkaline make a difference? Alkaline level?
It does what make a difference?
Alkaline level, does it make a difference?
No.
No. Yeah.
It shouldn't make a difference.
Yeah.
No. I mean, unless you have lead in your water. No, it shouldn't make a difference. Although you can buy, there's specially bottled alkaline waters and other waters. It really doesn't make a difference. Yeah. I don't think it really makes a difference. I think it's good for marketing, though.
Yeah.
It makes for pretty bottles.
Oh, yeah.
Electrolyte water, and it's called electrolyte water. I mean, certainly Pedialyte.
Yep.
But alkaline doesn't really matter. But I think if you have that really great filter, use that.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's a good filter. I don't know about the alkaline level of it, but the filter is good. It makes tap water
it's purifying good. The water. That's good.
Yep.
Are you going to stick with this?
Yeah.
Good. Now, are you ready
Why
to
not?
add something new in?
Why not? It's really easy. And like I said, it has benefits, right?
I love that.
Yeah.
See, and did you have any hesitation about it? So that for the listeners who are like, I don't want to start doing that because it's hard.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've tried it in the past and I've always found it tough to drink a lot of water, but I've spread it out through the day. I try to hit a little in the morning, like I'll try to hit like 40 ounces in the morning, get, like as you said, front load it.
Right.
And then fit it in the rest of the day. And, this stuff, I have tea. I have 20 ounces of tea every day. So that's part of it.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Is it decaffeinated tea?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Because if it's caffeinated, you have to add back in water.
Yeah.
So that's very good. So, and now do you, how many days did it take for you to sort of start adjusting to going to the bathroom? 3?
3. Yeah. About 3.
So that's, it's roughly, usually people report 2 to 3 days before they regulate out.
And I'm surprised how easily that acclimated. I'm surprised how easily I acclimated to it.
Because your body, that's what your body wants and it's used to it. So it will really quickly adjust. Mm-hmm. So very good.
Yep.
So
I like it. That's an easy one. That's the one everyone should pick it up because it's easy.
Uh-huh.
And it
helps.
That's
why I said last week to start with something really small and make it tangible.
Yep.
And that you can have success. And even if you don't have, say you're 200 pounds and you have 100 ounces of water to hit a day, even if you hit 60, 70 or 75, like if you're getting closer to it, then it's better than what most people do. In my practice is when I say, how much water you drink? 0.
Yeah.
Like, or a bottle.
Yep.
And that's a bottle that they carry around with them all day with one and it never finishes. So I think that if you can be mindful, which is the December theme is being mindful of and aware of certain things that you can make changes in, that would be fantastic. So
I keep in mind the equation all the time. I was laughing. I was thinking of you last night because we went out to dinner and I was sitting there and I ordered the French dip at it, which was like a little shaved meat sub with au juice. And I was debating it, and I was telling my girlfriend, I said, I don't know, the bread. She goes, the bread's the problem? She goes, you got this, you got cheese. I says, yes, but cheese is worth it.
Yeah.
Bread is not worth it. Cheese is not something I should probably be eating, or I don't eat a ton of cheese.
Cheese would be better for you than the bread.
Yeah, well, I enjoy cheese, so it's worth it. It's like the bread is just bad for me, and I don't get any enjoyment out of it.
Right. Well, but the cheese is a protein source and a fat source, so it's okay.
Yep.
You're not eating it all the time, but the bread, did you eat the bread?
No.
Good.
No.
Right. Yeah, the meat source and the cheese was fine.
But that equation of whether the effort is worth it or not. And the effort to drink, 100 ounces of water, it was worth it because there's enough benefit to make it worth it. It's not that big a deal.
Right.
Yeah. It's just a matter
you're not
of
having
determining
to change, like, your whole dietary structure around. You're not changing all your foods. Right. You're not doing anything that's not simple by walking past the faucet and getting something or grabbing a bottle and doing it. It's so simple. Yep. And it's such an easy change. People make things so complicated in health and wellness that it's not necessary to have to do all that.
Yeah.
So now are you going to add in anything else this week for a new thing?
What do you got?
Well, I don't know. So what kind of change would you like to make? So we'll use you as the catalyst for other people's changes.
Again, the thing for me is the after supper time and eating there, because I will sit there and I will graze, and I have trouble with that. So that's something I'd probably like to address. Okay. So I'd like to find a way to suppress that. The water has helped.
Right. But. So good. So a good way to do any kind of suppression of that is making sure that you're not starving yourself all day. Right. And then eating at night, like your dinner. And then, because now your body's still wanting more calories, right? That's what happens. So making sure you're eating your breakfast, your lunch, or your middle day. And then when you get to dinner, you have good protein source. Protein is going to be your friend in terms of keeping you feeling full. Yeah. It's going to help you burn any kind of carbohydrate that you've had, and like all the vegetables being there. So, you want your big rainbow on your plate that makes your body, and your mind feel good, but you want your piece of protein, whether that's tofu, or if you're vegetarian, or if you have meat, fish, chicken, turkey. And that right there, if you have that good sized amount, then it should be fine. And then give yourself a little time and have water after. Mm-hmm. And then, so if you eat dinner at 7 and you are giving yourself like an hour, don't eat for like an hour after. If you want, like, really push it out. So you have your water, push it out. And then if you're going to have a snack, pick something that isn't just to go grab because you're picking and grazing. Plan it out. Have apple slices with peanut butter. You're adding protein source, and so you're not eating mindlessly. And then, because mindless stuff is the high salt, high sugar, high carb, soothing foods that will make you keep coming back. So if you eat an apple, great nutrients, and with almond butter, peanut butter, or whatever butter, then you're going to have, or cucumbers, and I'm not a big fan of like ranch dressing, because that's obviously sugar. Yeah. But cucumbers, and you can dip it into like hummus or something that's going to give you some feeling of fullness, because you're not eating probably because you're hungry, you're eating because you're bored. And so once you have a couple bites, usually you put it away. It's when you eat the Pringles or the Oreos that you go through the sleeve kind of thing, because it's feeding the opposite end of the spectrum of all those things. So if you give yourself dinner time, I'm going to back it up even further. When you sit down for dinner, mindfully eat, like psychologically, mindfully eat, be aware, take time. So many people sit down. I think the average that people take to eat a dinner is 7 to 8 minutes.
Yeah, I'm a quick eater.
It's really fast. Like people, just go. Your body doesn't have time to register, which I've talked about before. Your body doesn't have time. Your mind doesn't have time to register in the hypothalamus, which is your emotional center, that your body's done. So you'll keep feeding it. And then when it really is supposed to be done 20 minutes later, it's re-hungry, if that's a word, re-hungry again, because it's the mechanical structure of it for timing is off. So being mindful, like making sure that you talk, take a bite, you talk again, take a bite, chew. There's all kinds of theories out there that you should chew 30 times per. I've tried that. Yeah, that's hard. But if you're just mindful that you're enjoying it, like look for the flavor, the taste, talk about how it feels, like talk about your day, but spreading it out so you're making your actual food last about 20 to 25 minutes.
I think that's a really great tip. When I was losing weight, I did the apple and peanut butter thing all the time, and the apple and hummus. And mindful eating is so important, because you take the apple and you sit down with it and you have to cut it and then cover it. It's a process. So you can't, it's not just like regular snacks that you just wolf them down.
Dip in a bag.
Right.
Yeah. And so what I get a lot, and I can hear people already out there saying like, oh, I don't want to do that because it takes so much time. It's easier just to grab something. Well, if that's the case,
point. Yeah.
You prep it so you have it. I have multiple clients now that keep the stack of Tupperware. So they have like raspberries, banana, like all cut up for themselves so they can just grab. So they're not in that mode of, wow, it's so much effort. And then they grab for something else.
Yep.
Well, the other thing is don't buy these something else so it's not there, you know.
That's super important.
It's
just
so
not having it
important.
in the house.
Right. Don't have it
Yeah.
in the house.
Yeah.
I do have clients that will say, well, their husband or their wife will go out and get it.
Yeah.
You know, in the middle of the day, it's 10 o'clock at night and they'll go get, you know, pretzels. Ugh.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, stick to your plan. So if your micro goal is to, here's a great micro plan for people for like health and wellness eating. Plan out those little snack bucket items and put them in little containers or little baggies. Do 7 days in a row, 7 for night, 7 for midday, whatever. So you have them with you so that when you really want it, you have a variety, because you don't want bananas 3 days in a row.
Right.
You don't want apples 3 days in a row, but grab to make something for every single day. People always say, oh, I have tons of people say, oh, I got a whole bag of almonds. I ate them all. That's not, you can't do that. You can.
Yeah.
I'm sure it tasted fantastic. The problem is that's too much of the almond. So you're not really needing that much. So having, 25 almonds or like a quarter of a cup of almonds and then having an apple, like, so you're looking to trade out, like, don't just do one snack like that and then have it fill out,
Yep.
What?
Nothing.
Oh, I'm going to blow my nose.
No, I'm very,
Huh?
I'm very calorie conscious. So I probably do starve myself a little bit going in. I mean, I don't starve myself. I don't feel it that way, but I don't blow calories. So,
Right.
and when I'm working out, I feel that tug too, where I always want to eat more.
Right.
When my routine is good and I'm working a lot, I always want to eat more.
Right. And so that's why you should eat like a little bit of something before if you're working out, so that you go in and burn, and then within 30 minutes have like a protein source after. So even if you have like a little, I love those little squishy gels of like almond butter or, something that you can just have quick.
Yep.
And if not, if you have like hard boiled eggs with you, so that your body isn't then going into burn mode 30 minutes after that you haven't eaten and then you're starving, or that you're going to go to dinner and then you're going to eat 1,000 calories very easily because you've banked them all day, because now your mind is wanting, and your body, and it's sending the message like, oh, I'm so hungry and I need to feel fulfilled. And if you have any emotional stuff going on at the same time, it's like, oh, holidays especially, because people are feeling like, oh, I worked out, I feel good, I'm gonna go have this and this and an eggnog and and all this other stuff, and then afterwards they feel yucky.
There's always Christmas cookies around and
I know
those type of things.
I know clients keep bringing me Christmas cookies. I love them, but I don't love my butt.
They're just in front of you, and it's just like, it's hard to pass on them.
Well, I'm a sharer now. I never used to be a sharer because I have clients that like are really good bakers, and I'm like, I can't. I love it. I'm going to eat everything, and then I'm going to share alike. So I have one and nibble.
How do you think about, because I love peanut butter and that type of thing, but how do you feel about the powdered peanut butter?
Protein peanut butter?
Yeah.
It depends. So I'm a brand snob on those things, because I think that some of them are made really, really well or good, and some of them aren't. So I think if you pick a good brand, I'm a big I like the Vega brand. Again, not getting an endorsement for them, but I like the Vega brands. And if you've tasted a variety of them, some are really nice and smooth and like they taste good and they're well made, and some of them they taste like pasty.
I use is it
PB2? Huh?
Is it PB2 or
yeah PB2?
I do
that one. That one's good. It's made well, so because I think it's fine to put that stuff in. I'm all about really trying to find your natural sources to get that. And if you have to add in a protein powder or something like that, that's fine. But try to get it from natural sources the most possible way you can, other than being processed out.
But that's what I would use for quote unquote peanut butter when I was doing the apple and things like that. And what I liked about that product was the ingredient list is peanuts, salt. Basically, that's it.
Right.
And
that's why it's a good product.
And it's 45 calories per serving as opposed to 190.
90. Yeah. Right. And it's certainly better for you than picking up a Snickers bar. Right.
Yeah.
So I think it's fine, but always trying to find those natural sources. I think people make the mistake of thinking because it's powder or it's a protein or it's that they'll put it in everything, and you really shouldn't do that. It's not that you can't, but you shouldn't do that, because your body it doesn't process it like that. So people are like, oh, it's healthy. I can put it in my shake. I can put it in my yogurt. I can put it in,
no. The only other thing I use it for is oatmeal. Sometimes I'll put it in oatmeal.
Right.
Yeah.
So, just variety, think variety all across the board so that you have no issue with, the calorie burn, how it impacts your mental health and your mood, because mood is such a big regulator by food and exercise, right? So, and when you're micro goaling and trying to really contain what you have in control of these things, like the water or some kind of food item, really keeping in mind, like what is it that it's going to do to your mind and your body? That's part of that mindfulness piece I was talking about last week, is how aware are you of what you're utilizing from external, internal, and how is it impacting you? So
are there good stress foods?
Well, there are. So there's lots of different theories on that.
Yeah.
So, but I have some, I think citrus is a good stress food, right? Things that have vitamin C. However, if you have certain types of medication, you can't have certain citrusy foods. Like you can't have grapefruit, right? So certain types of things, because there's an enzyme in it that counterindicates on it, so you can't. But so you have green leafy vegetables, kale, spinach, avocado, good stress food, good because they're antioxidants, right? Yep. Remember the big thing about acai? Remember the acai? And people ask me about that, and I'm like, it's kind of hit or miss on the research. It's a good marketing tool. It certainly tastes good. It's not bad for you, but I don't know if it's
tends to be high sugar. Tends to be high sugar too, doesn't it?
Sometimes,
where it's presented.
Sometimes, but finding things that are, anything to the ground is going to be a good stress food. So in terms of plant-based stuff, so meat, not stress food, not those protein sources, no. But if you have like just good fiber, anything that has like no processed oats, things that are going to make your cholesterol be, flat, things that won't raise your blood pressure because they don't have salt in them, are going to be your better bets.
Nuts.
Yep. So nuts. So I think of nuts on a continuum. And there's a double entendre here and there.
Yeah.
There's nuts are on a continuum.
There you go.
So you want to take and look at your nut products, because first of all, they impact the brain differently and how they are functioning. They have different protein levels and content, and protein and fat content. And so like your macadamia nut is going to be really higher in fat, and your almond is not. So your 25 almonds is not going to equal 25 macadamia nuts. So you have to know your nuts.
Yes.
And so they're really good for stress in terms of lowering all the different chemicals in the body. You're not going to take an almond and feel like de-stressed,
right.
But your chemicals in your body are going to regulate around whatever's going on to make you maybe feel better, whether your mood's off a little bit, maybe your sugar's low, maybe you're feeling agitated, angry, things like that. So if you do your research on which nuts you like the most, you're certainly going to find, almonds are going to probably be your better. Almonds, pine nuts, pine as I drain.
Yeah.
Almonds, pine nuts, walnuts I tend to put over on the side with macadamia, because they're higher, they have a higher fat and salt content. And if you're going to eat peanuts, eat them dry, natural, no salt added. The products that they make now with like wasabi salt and all that stuff, they're great.
Yeah.
But you're adding in like, I think one of the bags I saw a couple weeks ago when I saw it, I picked it up for the holidays to put out, like, and I said, ooh, it had like 1,000 per serving, 1,000 milligrams of sodium in it. I was like, oh my God. And it was only like 10. Yeah. I'm like, oh, forget that. Cause it's just a salt lick. And then the more you put that out, the more people want to eat more stuff. I don't want to be a perpetuator of that.
The medley that I'm buying now is dark chocolate, cashews, walnuts, and almonds. Yeah. How are cashews?
So cashews are really good for you, and they're really good for brain power. They're higher in fat. So just always keep that in mind. It's along with like macadamia nuts. They're super good for you. But like if you're not a milk drinker and you drink oat milk or cashew milk or almond milk, that's great. Now, the sustainability of those nut trees and everything for producing that is probably going to run out because it's so popular. But those are super good for you because they are full of anti-stressors, essentially, the nut family. It's funny for me to say it because, in the business that I'm in.
It's funny how you gravitate towards stuff that you eventually need.
Right.
Well,
because your body knows. Your emotional and your physical health knows what it needs and what it wants. And if it doesn't have the resourcing and you don't have the, what I call the exposure base to get it, then you go to what you know. Kind of like if you live next to a McDonald's or you live next to a Whole Foods.
Boy, there were a couple stories about McDonald's out in the last couple of days.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
About just how, I don't want to get into it. Well, not that they're going to sponsor us anyway.
They're not going to sponsor
But just
me.
how toxic the beef is that they use, the processing of the beef and things like that. Yeah.
Yes,
it was scary.
The processing of fast food is quite something. Well, I have when I teach my intro class, when we talk about food and how it impacts psychological, right? One of the predominant ingredients in the French fries is cellulose, and cellulose is tree bark. So the French fries in said fast food restaurant are made of tree bark. Now, so you're still eating plant-based, it's just not potato.
Right.
So, and it tastes really good. And people are like, well, why does it taste so good? Well, it tastes really great because it's in that oil and it's still plant-based. And they add a little bit of, potato flake or whatever they do to it, but it's, tree bark.
Yeah.
So it's like, and then, so I have this client, she's very cute. She's very funny. She's a young girl. She's on the spectrum and she always asks me about food products because she's when you have Asperger's, it's a high functioning level of autism and very, very intelligent. So always asking very inquisitive, deep questions about lots of things. And sometimes she asks me about food and she loves the Haribo gummy bears, the little, the teddy gummies. So a couple weeks ago, she was asking me about them because we were talking about, she's on a medication. She doesn't want to gain weight and all this. And so I told her what was in the Haribo gummies. She almost fell off the chair. She's like, what? So she was floored because people don't realize that it's made with animal byproducts like, hooves and paws and intestines. And that's what gelatin is. And they just add flavoring and food color and all kinds of other stuff. And she's like, I'm never eating those again.
I remember, I don't want people to quote me but the story that I read the other day was about someone doing a podcast or a talk show or writing a blog was talking about McDonald's and the stuff that was going into it. And they sued them, I guess, and they lost.
Right.
But part of the description is what a chicken McNugget is. And it's like,
so they've changed that.
Oh,
so they've changed the chicken McNugget was to what it is now. So the chicken McNugget, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I did.
No,
the chicken McNugget used to be pressed chicken parts and stuff. Yeah. And now it's actually, they use full, according to what they report, because I follow this stuff all the time, they use real chicken, like full, like breast, and cut it up and make it. And so,
well, thank God it's real chicken.
Right. Because that stuff came out, because they did, there was those series back in, within the past 10 years of all the things, like the Big Mac that would be put in the back of the trunk of the car and still 3 months later would still be fully intact.
Yeah.
Kind of like you can clean your toilet bowl with Coke.
Yep.
You just put the Coke in it, cleans the bowl. Imagine what it does to your stomach, right?
Clean your chrome. Yeah.
I know, right?
Not that anyone has chrome anymore.
So taking those small goals. So let's go back to because I wanted to say a little bit about two more things about this. So primary and secondary sourcing. So when you have a primary source of control and a secondary source of control, you can take better action on your micro goals. What that means is your primary source is being able to, see what you have control of in your environment that you can actually make changes, whether that's financial, relational, food, weight, exercise, whatever that is, right? So really looking at your externals. What do you have control over that you can take control over and then make a change for yourself? Then your secondary control is your internal. What do you have available to you to change the way you feel about a situation? Like we were talking about relationships last week and sitting at a dinner table and disengaging from certain types of conversations or not getting involved. But looking within to see, can you and will you be able to flip something in your head enough emotionally to not have to react versus respond? So when you're trying to make these micro goal changes and add them in so they accumulate and get to that big goal of whatever it is down the line, it's really looking at, okay, how do I control for these two things and balance them out? Right?
Yep. And what I like about those two thought processes, if you can accomplish them, is they apply everywhere.
Yeah.
And you get better, and they take a bigger role in your life as you go. Yeah.
Right. And so, and that's why I think it's so important for people to realize that if you don't worry so much about what the goal is right now, but look at like, what do you have control of and what do you have control of inside? Because human nature is that we separate these things out now, whether it's because we've social mediated out or normed it out, or we don't pay attention and we just kind of go with the flow like the herd or whatever. But it's really looking at for yourself, your own lane. Imagine yourself standing in a lane all by yourself and saying, what is in my purview of my external environment that I can actually change or I can make a change to? And then and how do I feel about that? Because that's what I have control over. And how do I make the change? So if, going like, say, well, let's do we'll stop picking on food for a while. So we'll go to financial. So if you go, it'll be really food related, but so you go to Starbucks. Starbucks is $8 a drink sometimes, right? So you do that seven times a week, $56, whatever. So your external, what do you have control over? Okay, that doesn't mean you have to go cold turkey. People always do all or nothing distorted thinking. It means if you're spending $56 a week times, right, 52, and then you do the math, split it in half. Start off by saying, I'm going to split this in half. So that means I'm only going to go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, because you plan it around something that's always realistic for yourself. When people do, I'm going to go cold turkey on something, it usually doesn't work. Why? Because it's going from everything to nothing. And so there's this deprivation and starvation across the board, whether it's financial, like you were spending all this money, now you're not. You're eating all these things, now you're not. You're exercising all the time, now you're not. So, and that's what people do, and it just doesn't work.
Austerity and depriving yourself you can't sustain it.
Right.
Yeah. They talk about a lot of this stuff as willpower, and willpower will get you so far, but it can't be sustained.
Right, because it has to have. So willpower, we all are really well equipped to have strong willpower. It's a matter of how are we taught to access it. Like this is a skill to access the willpower, right? Is the external internal balance, and then how are we then supported by the environment around us?
But denying yourself is a tough road to go. It's more of what I talked about earlier about everything's an equation. It's like, well, I want this, but is it worth it? Or do I get a bigger benefit by holding off and doing something later? Or, it's all the equation of what your priorities and what's important to you.
Well, so to that point, I think, yes, that I'm going to go to an example of a client that I have that will say that they haven't really had the experience yet of feeling what it feels like to be at their peak yet. They want it, but there's the yes, but syndrome, but they haven't really gotten there yet. And they know on paper how to do it. We talk about it ad nauseum. We plan it out, but the actual feeling has never been there. And the reason why I point that out is because it's so hard when you go with what you know. Say going back to eating again because it's so easy. Well, it's Christmas and we're going to eat that. And I'll start on the first of the year and it's, it's just going to be an extra piece of pie. And then I'm going to have that. So this person, and like many people, doesn't have the feeling of what it's like to say, I know what the reward of not doing that feels like. So that feels better than this. So
the reward is theoretical,
right?
Which makes it less of a priority.
Tangibly feel it. Like I can recreate it in myself just by thinking about it. So can you? Because I've been there, done it, walked the walk. So, so that has helped my brain retrack into knowing, oh, I know how to get there, and I know what to do that, and I know that I can do it this way and be fine. Whereas people that haven't had the experience, and there's so many people in the world that have not had the full-on experience, that they go, well, it can't be that much better than the experience I'm already having, so I'm just going to go with that because eventually it will come. And by that point, osmosis has taken over, right? Because nothing happens, and either their finances have dropped, their relationship has ended, they have become either anorexic or they're obese. The extreme ends of the spectrum start to happen because they have. I don't like using failed, but they fail to tap into the resource of being able to actually
Well, that's why setting up,
know what the experience is like. You don't have to know what the experience is. You just have to trust the process, because it will happen. Then you'll have that feeling, and that feeling will come right back to you.
but I think you do that by setting up and knocking down small goals,
Right?
And getting, like, for example, if you need to lose 50 pounds, and when you get 5 pounds down and you feel the reward of that, it's like, well, I set my mind to something, I accomplished it, I can check it off. 5 pounds, yay, have a party.
Right.
I don't eat a cake, but have a party.
Right.
Those goals start to build on themselves, and you get a little bit of that reward. It's no longer theoretical. It's actually, you see the reward.
Right. And I think that our culture is such the impulsive, instant gratification, unfortunate. That's the part of the mental health, the brain part, that is so impulsive that, well, I'll do it now and I'll do that later. And unfortunately, I'll do this now because I'll do that later. That later doesn't come typically, and that's where people get themselves in trouble emotionally and physically.
Yep.
Because their best selves are constantly being challenged on a daily of, I don't know if you have this experience, but I know many people, and I've done this probably in my head much younger, but today's a new day. Yes, it is. But today's a new day, and I'll just start tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll just start tomorrow. And you realize, wait a second,
gratification.
A whole year passes you, and that's what's coming up now in the next 2 weeks of my practice, and I've already been talking about it, that my whole year has passed me by, and what do I have to show for it?
It's that a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush in terms of gratification.
Right.
People go for the instant gratification,
right?
Because like when I sit there last night and I don't eat the bread,
right?
It's a minor thing,
right?
And there's not going to be a tangible payoff for it, but by the same token, there is a payoff for it, and it's part of
there's a tangible payoff for it, because you don't feel the weight of the mental feeling, and you don't feel the weight of the bread on you.
Yeah. So when you went back to, and you're talking about, and I think this is so important these days, and as part of today's society, is attenuating your attention to all your stimulus. We get a ton of stimulus, and I shouldn't be telling these tales out of school, but my girlfriend was traumatized the other day because in her late night reading, she came across the early Russian space program where they shot dogs into space and didn't bring them back. Right. And she was traumatized by it. She's upset by it. She's losing sleep about it. And I have no reaction. And she's getting on me for having no reaction. It's like, it was 60 years ago. I mean, I can't do anything about it. I wouldn't be sending dogs into space, but it happened 60 years ago. I can't put in my mind, I can't put any mental energy towards it. I don't like it, but it's useless to put mental energy towards it. And she's spending a lot of mental energy on it. And I think we need to do that with everything, social media, that just stimulus is coming at you all the time. What you pick up and what you don't pick up on is important. And being able to control that is extremely important. Because when that Oreo is in front of you, you have to be able to attenuate that and focus on something else.
Right. So there's a really great experiment. If you've never seen it, have you ever seen the little kids that they put the two different age children?
The Marshmallow Experiments?
Yeah. The Marshmallow Experiment. Or you can do it with Oreos. You do it right. Yep. And to see, so the cognitive development level of kids, and how, they sit there, and you can tell their brains are going like, what do I do? And
for those who don't know, they put a marshmallow in front of a kid.
Yep.
And they say, you can eat this marshmallow now or not eat it and get 2 marshmallows.
Right. But you have to wait till I come back.
Right. And then they studied how the kids dealt with that question.
Yes. And it's fantastic, because it's exactly to the point of what I'm making now, and what you were just talking about, that it's the primitive part of the brain, the young one, that really goes and will be like, oh, forget it, I'm just gonna eat it. And you can see it if anyone's listening and you want to go watch it on YouTube. It's super cute, it's super funny, because the littler ones who don't have the cognitive skill set yet, there's one that actually does, but usually they're just like, and they eat it, and the other kid's like, oh, you're gonna get in trouble, you're not gonna get 2. And it's amazing that, but then that other kid eventually can be in that same spot that won't necessarily hold, but they're more likely to, because that's the whole thing about the predictor, is that what personality and what type will be able to impulsively hold for something that they want more of later down the road.
Wasn't one of the findings there that the kids who were able to wait for the second marshmallow controlled their sensory intake.
Yes.
They did not look at the marshmallow.
Right.
They found other way. They directed their attention other ways.
They distracted themselves.
Yeah.
Right. So that is why when you asked me at the top of the show about like how do you not binge at night, is distractions. So after dinner, at least an hour in between, find something to do, drink water, keep yourself busy in your head, and then if you really have to, then you go to something you've already pre-planned, because you're trying to put distractors in, whether that's doing a puzzle, talking, walking, watching TV, whatever it is, but something that's not keeping your mind focused on the food.
But the whole mental health game is attenuating your focus, isn't it?
It's the mental health game.
Yeah. It's all about attenuating your focus. And,
that goes to the primary sourcing, right? So if
exactly what you have control
taking control of your environment so that you're not actively upset by something. It's kind of like when people drive by an animal that's been killed on the side of the road. I know this is weird, but it's if you don't, you will not have the emotional impact in the same way as if you directly look at it. So if you look elsewhere and you just drive by it, you go, oh gosh, what is that? Then it doesn't impact you the same way. So it's the same exact thing. Is if you're not focusing directly on it, then you're not going to have the issue in the same way. Or if you're not living it. So proximity is another thing too, a piece of this for goal setting. Addiction, we'll take addiction. If people who have addiction live next to the packy, that's a problem. Or if, initially, if they're not sober, they're not in recovery, it's very hard in environments for people who are alcoholics and drug addiction sufferers, right, to be around the neighborhoods that have their sourcing. So it's the same thing. If you're in a neighborhood of bakeries and you love going to the bakery, same thing. If you're in a neighborhood of pizza shops and you love going to pizza, same thing. So it's about attenuating your focus to, I know that that's there, so I have to go the other direction, or I have to be able to really say that's not going to be what I'm going to be doing. So using the addict as the metaphor is or the example is, we often will say you can't go back to that same environment because the proximity that you're in to your dealer or your drug source or your alcohol source is, or you live next door to the casino, that's a problem.
Or it's on your phone.
Or your phone. It's interesting because Hoda Kotb on Today's Show.
I'm sorry.
Do you know? Did I speak in different language?
It sounded like it for a second.
Do you know Hoda Kotb? She's the anchor for the Today Show.
Oh no, I don't know.
Jenna Bush. So she went on a retreat for I think 10 days, and that just happened to be that I just saw this yesterday. She went on a retreat for 10 days, no phone, and she came and she was talking about it yesterday about how. She didn't use the word attenuating focus, but she said the amazing feeling it was to not have the phone, not have any access, not have any input, and that she's hoping, she said, I'm hoping that now that I'm back, I'm going to limit, that every time it bings or every time that I'm not going to do that. And I think that that's super important. I try to do that as much as I can. Because it's just so pulling for distracting from your goals. And also for people to understand, like TV, social media, eating while watching or doing things while being emotional, and you're doing it on your phone, it actually makes you more likely to pick poor choices, do things that are unhealthier. You're going to see something, you're going to get marketed towards you, and you're going to go towards it.
Stuff gets put in front of you.
So if you're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter, and you're bouncing and toggling back and forth, and then if you're dating apps and all the other apps, you're just bombarded all day long with negative, because many people watch the negative stuff, which I don't allow on my phone, right? Because I try to keep everything good. But if you're a person that's like, oh, because you hear all these things, or people that listen to like lots of like conspiracy theories, it's all negative. And so what it does is it impacts your emotional center to do unhealthy things.
But ultimately the goal is, you work on that, but ultimately the goal is, and meditation is the far end of this, but you can do it many steps before meditation, is the ability to attenuate your thought process. In other words, you went back to seeing the animal hit on the street, and I've done this 100 times, and if you focus on it, it will affect you.
Yes.
So the ability to just let it flow past you is important. And it's first, you start with controlling your sensory input, but second, hopefully you develop the point where your thought process can be, you can let a thought flow by you.
Right.
You don't have to dwell on it. You don't have to take it in. You don't have to, like, there were 7 dogs lost in the Russian space program. It's like, okay, not great, but I got to do it. Yeah, I'm here. And I challenge everybody, if you think of your best moments, your 2 or 3 greatest moments in your life, the things you really go back to that you really hone in on, it was because your focus was there.
Yes.
And everything else dropped.
Right.
You had the phone, but you didn't care about the phone. The COVID was still going on, but you didn't care. You were with somebody you loved, doing something you liked in an amazing situation, and you were just there.
Right.
And your entire focus was right there at that moment.
Right.
That's the basis of those memories.
Yes.
So try to create that as much as possible.
And so that's to the point what I was making about some people don't have that. Yeah. Like, even though I know that
they've all had those moments.
Well, but but they don't know how to access that.
Right.
Like, well, you would think everyone has those moments. It's hard for some people to pull those moments up, but the accessing of the feeling and getting that to recreate. So yes, that would be a great way to get there, is like, think of 1 or 2 of your best or greatest moments, or the best feeling you've had and what it was. And that's what you're aiming for. People have a hard time getting to that because it's hard to pull for, when you have 500 negatives and you have the 1 or 2 positives, to have it not outweigh. And so it's weeding through all that.
And it's particularly tough this last year and a half, 2 years, because you've been bombarded with stuff that legitimately needs your attention, but swimming in it all the time is very detrimental.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And people are reading COVID stuff all the time, and they're getting freaked out by COVID stuff. And it's like, all right, it's there.
Have clients contact me all the time to ask me about, I'm their fact checker, and I'm like, stop reading stuff.
Stop reading stuff.
I get these crazy cockamamie like studies and stuff, and they're like, can you read this? And I'll be like, I glanced at it and just no.
Yeah.
Stop using Dr. Google. Stop. And I get at least 1 or 2 a week. I'm like, stop reading, stop going on Google or Wikipedia. Stop. Yeah, it's true, because people are getting all, yes.
But your feeds, everything about social media is designed to be sensationalized and largely negative.
Right.
That's what it feeds on.
So that's to the point of like there goes my, to my point of externals. What is she doing?
She's taking her keys back that I got your tissues with. Because I didn't bring them back to her.
I knew I heard her come in. Hi, Steph.
Yeah.
The external drive, or the external thing that's happening around you, that's where you can take your secondary resource and say, okay, my external is really negative. You have to be aware that it's negative, because some people are living in their negative all the time and have no idea that it's negative, which is really common. And then be able to then flip that and say, okay, I'm going to now make that into something different, because I think I've talked about this before. The Pollyanna people are like, oh, you have to be optimistic, and looking at the good side, or looking at optimistic things, or being like positive, doesn't mean just sugarcoat. It means really looking for what is going to go well today. What do you want to go well today? Not being, getting up and being like, today is terrible. I'm Eeyore. That's my Eeyore moment, right? There's many people who wake up as Eeyore. Why bother going out when you just have to come back, right? Versus Tigger, which is up, yay, right? Yeah. So I have lots of Tiggers and I have lots of Eeyores, right? In my practice, and I try to get the Tiggers to have like a little bit more Wise Owl and Piglet. And usually my Eeyores don't need a lot of Wise Owl, because they have Wise Owl, but they need more Tigger. So I use my Winnie the Pooh metaphors to get people to look at their external and internal outsourcing pieces to figure out how are they viewing the world, so their goals can be reached, because their perception of what's out in front of them is so much a part of why they are stuck, or why they've moved as far as they have and then haven't moved any further. And then obviously there's things that get in people's way. There are obstacles that can't be moved. And then you have to figure out, okay, how do you get around those? Right. But when it comes to, here we are coming into the new year, and people want to know, how do I make these goals? Stop looking ahead to these big, goals. Just small, teeny little, let's just do a week at a time, right up to New Year's. Because now you've got a nice little speedway going in, that you're going in on a track, not waiting. You're waiting for the first, you're waiting for the first, you're waiting for the first. And then it comes and it's like, oh God, now I have to start. Because now you've already started. The water, maybe saving a little money, don't go to Starbucks as much, whatever it is, or saving money aside. I'm trying to teach a couple of people how to, like, take $50 a week and put it aside for the next year and see how that ends. It's just little things, because you change up your daily, because you want to save money, or you want to lose weight, or you want to
when my daughter was young,
5K.
When my daughter was young, I kept focusing on her on not living paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
Put something aside so that you don't have to wait for that check when it comes. Right. And what a big game changer that is, because it changes your whole stress level. It changes everything. Right. And again, that's a relatively small goal, because you can do it with, very little austerity.
Right.
If you want to, if that's the goal. But the rewards are incredible. And once you get out of that point of living paycheck to paycheck, it's a whole different ballgame, and your stress levels go way down. But controlling that negative input with my kids when they were young, it was always, my thing was unnecessary hard. Don't take on unnecessary hard.
Right.
There's stuff out. There's plenty of legitimate hard. You don't go looking for stuff.
Well, and I think, and given what you said, given that we're a week away from like Christmas, unnecessary hard, and I so many times in the past week, unnecessary hard to keep going out and spending more money on more gifts, because you think that they don't have enough, or someone doesn't have this or so, and you've already spent in your paycheck to paycheck, and I can't stress enough if you have kids or you have people in your life, not everybody has to have equivalent amount of money spent on something. It doesn't have equal. It's such a mindset that gets people in so much stress at the holidays about, well, I spent $300 on that person, so I have to spend $300. It's like, why do that to yourself? It's not about that. It's about, you got something for someone.
Well, that's resolving your own issues, isn't it?
Right.
When you were a kid, you thought your sister got more.
Right. So it's about really, and, and you have people in your life that get disappointed, or you have people in your life that feel like, oh, well, you gave that person more. I mean, that's a whole other issue. But if you're spending money that you don't have, or that you do have, that you're going to beg Peter to pay Paul back, and Michael and Sue and whoever, down the line, you're putting yourself into such a position that you're really not controlling for what's coming anyway, because if the person's going to be disappointed, they're going to be disappointed. If it doesn't matter, you can spend $1,000 or $100, it doesn't matter. Because if it's there, you can't control for that. It's going to be whatever, even if they get everything they want, it's going to be something. And
well, that's, if I've got the concept correctly, that's what you talk about. It's primary control or not. You don't have control over their reaction.
Right. Right. So. And it's a disappointment. It's kind of like the end of the Christmas Story, when he doesn't get his Red Ryder BB gun, and he's like, his dad says, "Oh, did you get everything you wanted?" And he goes, "Yeah, kinda." And he's all disappointed, right? And and then in real life, that would be the end.
Yep.
But in the course of Christmas Story, he's like, "Oh, there's something over behind the thing," and Ralphie gets his Red Ryder BB gun.
He shoots his eye out.
In what?
And then he shoots his eye out.
Then he shoots his eye out, right? With the icicle.
I hope I didn't spoil it for anybody, but
I know. If you've never watched it, well. So it's that whole thing of, it's disappointing if you don't get what you want, but even when you do get what you want, there's still disappointment. It's never enough, and don't lose the Christmas spirit, or don't lose the holiday spirit, or the giving spirit that should be every day. That's why I'm saying, like, don't wait to January 1st for New Year's resolution. It's every day should be something that you're working towards moving forward anyway. So why wait 3 weeks for it to come? Why wait for your life to start in June when summer starts, because you worked out and made your body better? Whatever it is, it's all these things. I'll start my life when I start college next year. I'll start my life when I have, children and I get married. Like, wait a second, that's 10 years down the line, or 4 years down the line, or who knows? It's don't wait. Just keep doing and moving forward. So making small little goals, pick a tip of the week, pick an area in your life that you want to change, and make a small goal, financially, relationally, food, exercise. So if you're picking financial, do something, cut back on something, just one small little thing, save some money, put that aside. If it's food, we've already added in water, or cut out white bread for whatever as a start. If it's relational, you want to have like some kind of better relationship with someone, maybe communicate with them more, or say something different than you used to say, or
break a cycle, change a reaction.
Exactly. Exercise. You're not an exerciser and you don't want to do exercise, but you need to get up and move. Go up and down your stairs 10 times today. It's not about being this epic marathon running Olympic athlete superstar on television. It's about how to make your life better, because everybody that I talk to, I think from like morning to night, pretty much that I've ever met, wants to make their lives better.
Yep.
I don't know anybody that I've ever met that says, yeah, I want my life to be worse.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people that shoot for right down the center of mediocrity, but
and the whole resolution premise is problematic, especially when we're talking finances and weight. I mean, we focus on those because those are big concerns for most people. But you go on January 2nd and you walk into the gym and you get people who've been in the gym, and all of a sudden you're comparing yourself to them, and you see how stark you're, you don't measure up to them. Or you start to you take a financial course, or you read some articles, and that people are talking about having boats and yachts and
right,
taking big vacations because they do this, and it's like, God, I'm just trying to pay my electric bill, and it gets really discouraging early
because you're socially comparing.
But
and I go into the gym on the 2nd of January and I get annoyed because now all my machines are taken because all these people are coming in and start working out.
Yeah. It's funny. I've had that thought in the last couple of weeks. It's like, I got to get it in now because January's awful.
I walked in and I'm like, why are all of you here?
Yeah.
You must be listening to my podcast. That's what I say in my head, in my fantasy life, that, you're all listening to my podcast. That's why you're all here. Because you weren't here 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. And that makes it public. The whole weight exercise thing becomes public, and you're in with people who are in the gym all the time. And it's just like, it's too much negative input. But hopefully, mentally, you can avoid. You can just ignore that negative input.
Well,
don't focus on it.
So all kidding aside, that when I have people that have not been in the gym, and my friend who passed away this past summer, one of his big things, and God love him, he would say, I don't want to go in because I am self-conscious, and until I lose weight, I don't want to go in. And I say, don't worry, no one's looking at you. It doesn't matter. There's people all different shapes, size. It doesn't matter. No one's looking at you. The only thing I'm looking at is you're on my machine. So going back to the king, is like, I'm not looking at you like what you look like, how you're working out, what you're doing, what you're wearing. I don't care. You're just on my machine. Yeah. So, but
if you do have,
and I used to say that to him, I'm like, I'd rather you just go and stand at the doorway than not. I'd rather someone go in and walk around the gym one time, because once you get there, as we've talked about before, you're gonna go.
But if you have a thought at all about those people in the gym, and you're right, nobody does. They're all, going through their own little hell. But you're thinking, good for you. No one has a negative thought to those people. It's like, great.
Yeah, I think there's always, there's certainly always a negative Nelly in the gym, or someone that's probably judging, but you probably don't know them, and who cares? I mean, really, who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice to be saying social things like hi. I say hi to everybody in the gym. I don't know anybody.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to know anybody.
No.
And that I just want to go in and do my thing, but I'm friendly.
Yep.
Because I'm not there to look at anybody else. However, it is, somewhat entertaining sometimes, because, it's like it's a wonderful area and arena for psychology.
It really is.
People like dating and hooking up and flirting, and I get great entertainment there, but I'm not looking at anybody working out because I don't really care.
For me, the only thing I pull out now is encouraging stuff, because I'll see someone older than me out there working. It's like, great. I
see a man that comes into my gym,
continue to do this
at night, and he goes roughly 2.5, 3 hours on the treadmill on an incline every day.
Wow.
Every day. And I think he's like 84 every day.
Yeah. Good for him.
Fit. Yeah. Super nice guy. Don't know his name, but he's in there every day. So, the cast of characters that come in. Yep. And that's what people look at. They don't look at like, oh, you're so fat, or, oh my God, look what you're wearing. Nobody's doing that.
Nope.
If they are, they're not saying it. And they probably are, but I don't hear it. And so you just have to turn a blind eye to that stuff, because your most important thing is you. Are you taking control of yourself? And if you're not going into your gym, then go outside and walk. And if you tell me it's too cold out and you don't want to walk alone, find somebody. I mean, there's always a reason why you can't.
Gonna laugh, but go to the mall. Go walk.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I have 2 clients right now.
It's too cold out.
Mall walking.
Yeah.
So that's good. So okay, so for tip of this week, besides your water, let's have everyone try to add in something new, something small in one of those little pockets of like content.
Yep. Create some wins, some small wins, and knock them down.
Yeah, exactly.
Build some momentum.
So we're a week out from Christmas show. So we'll be doing Merry and Bright next week, won't we?
Yes.
Unless
I love Christmas.
Oh, Lou, you love Christmas. My foot. Bah humbug.
That's fine.
Says Lou. All right. So everyone, if you have not seen all the holiday podcasts from the past month, please go and look and listen to any of your favorite podcast channels to hear your daily game face. And we will be back next week with bells on. Have a great
Christmas
week.
bells.